Hello and welcome to the Greg Fearon podcast with your host Greg Fearon, and today we have the awesome Stephen Aish for I think the fourth time joining
Something like
me.
that.
Yeah, I know you've done talks for my clients and stuff like that as well. So, and you're the creator of Train and Brain, um, and just a master mindset ninja, and
I
also
tell you, my biggest achievement was getting that bloody thing to stay on there.
the tech is always the hardest thing, right?
Give me a kettlebell, give me 20 personal trainers. I'm in my element. Give me a computer that doesn't work, and whoa.
Even though it has step by step instructions, you're like,
Yeah, we never read them, though, do we? You read it when there's such a panic that it's life threatening.
sounds a little bit like how people act, right?
Whoa. I mean, should we jump in with that one?
Yeah, let's start there, shall we? And then let's just rock. Let's go.
I think here's the first message I want to get across, and it is that prevention is so much better than cure, or even even reaching a place where you then need a cure. And let me relate this to my own story. As some of you may well know, I literally had the it's the yin yang balance, because I've learned to reframe it. It was the most horrendous and challenging year of my life, but also one of the most beneficial in terms of growth. And I'm only aware of that because I can now stand a safe distance from it, look back and go, ah, right, okay, I can learn from this. Because I think once the anger and the hatred and the reaction and the annoyance of not really having a clear target, once that died down, I could see it for what it was rather than how I felt about it. And that taught me a hell of a lot. And I can tell you, hand on heart, absolute transparency, the the best thing to do for your health is realize the small daily doses of maintenance, the steps, the not missing the breakfast, have some fun, go out for a meal and a blowout pizza. And what I say to people is that there's two numbers in my world. If you are, and as I mean, I coach with compassion, but I'm bloody honest, and sometimes that can hit. If you are a train wreck, lost at sea, you would be more of what I'd say the 80 percentile. If 80% of the time you can show up and do the work, you'll make incredible progress. When your foundations, when you it's like the master, you bang on the door for 3 months and they ignore you, they might shift some soup under to keep you warm. But when you're still there persisting, they might let you in. And when you've done your 3 months of that and you've proven to yourself that there's some level of trust here, the foundations are in place, I'm feeling and seeing a difference. What I would say there is you can then drop to the 70%. And I'd say that's that kind of bell curve, that normal distribution where it doesn't matter if you have a week off. It doesn't matter if you're slightly injured or tired. Here's the thing. It's over when you quit. And I'll give you a perfect example from my world. One of my clients, we had this random goal of, 7,000 steps. And he turned up and you could see in his face, quite disheveled. Steve, I only done 5,000. And boom, me, brain switched on, plugged in. I thought, so the 2,000 that you didn't do are far more powerful and important than the 5,000 that you did. And all of a sudden, reality hit, because let's say, going back to that 70 percentile, which is what I use for pretty much, 80 to 90% of my clients. If you miss a breakfast, doesn't matter. If you then quit because you missed a breakfast, that's the problem. If you go to the gym 4 or 5 times in a row and then don't feel like it, it's a problem if you then quit the gym because you've failed. You failed when you check out the game. There will be bumps in the road. You will be ill, injured. It might be closed. You might be away on holiday. The family might invite you to a buffet and you do let yourself go. We're not robots. Here's the thing. What I learned during my journey is the importance of doing the work when you think that you don't need to. Because I was in a very good place physically and mentally for a very long time. And then I I tumbled down the hill and I kept going. And it was literally this bottomless pit where stuff stacked up bigger than my ability to cope with it and deal with it. And it was then that I realized, and I think this is the first thing we mentioned about resiliency on what we're looking to go through. The only way, so Greg, you're Coach, you know yourself your way around the gym. How do you get strong? Someone turns up, they haven't seen a gym, got a bit of a tickly throat, excuse me. They haven't seen a gym. We're talking years. They haven't seen a gym for years. They want to get strong. Give me literally a 30-second soundbite of what their journey would look like and a rough time frame.
Hey, number one, what do you want to get strong at and in what way? Number two,
Specifics.
here's the plan of what we're going to do. Are you ready to do that? Or do we need to do something else before we get you ready for it? Number three, we're going to start off on the basics and we're going to overload and work our way up. So you get better and better every time.
So how do you get strong? Is it safe to say that you get strong lifting the big heavy weights and not the 2K dumbbells for 30, 40, 50 reps? Yeah.
Yeah.
As the person that hasn't seen the gym for 3 years start off with the great big, knee wraps, and you're
Weightlifting.
going to kill them. And here's the thing. You will not read a book on resiliency and get resilient. You will not read a book on how to drive a car and drive a car. We're both familiar with martial arts. You're not going to read a book and be a martial arts expert, although some people would like to convince you otherwise.
There are many of those on the internet right now.
I know it's shocking, and likewise, you're not going to read a book on getting strong and become strong. You're not going to lift 2K dumbbells. You're not going to be on the cable machine on the third pin repping out these. It doesn't work like that. We understand that strength comes from big resistance relative to your max, and that accommodation over time. You got to stress the system. Now, here's the thing: I was good at the level I was at. I wasn't prepared for the level I went to, and I hadn't lifted that level of weight. My advice to anyone that is going through some form of challenge, struggle, pain, stick with it. And here's the thing, and I'll create this as a little visual for those of you that are doing the video, but as an auditory, just kind of follow along. There's a you that's here now. Let's say you're the 100-kilo version of weights you can lift.
Yep.
And all of a sudden 150 or 200 turns up. The worst thing you can do is run away from that because it scares you. And everything in your system is saying, panic, I'm not ready. I can't face this. It's too much. I can't deal with it. Understand that in time, and it took me months, it took me 3 to 4, maybe even 6 months to stop being angry at where I was and fighting it and realize I got to adapt. It's helping me to grow in ways that don't yet exist. I am not yet the person that can deal with this, but I will be. And by staying with it, and that's what I mean by that 70 and 80%. If you run away, you actually empower the stress and disempower self. And all of a sudden that monster terrifies you and you never go back there. The brain actually creates no-go zones based on fear, based on terror, based on that sense of absolute despair and desperation. You've been to the gym 8 times. Why the hell would you go back a 9th if nothing's worked? Every pill, potion, diet, coach, trainer. And here's the thing. Most people have been missold. And I hammer this home because I want you to understand it. I mentioned bobbing in the ocean for a reason. People lost at sea. You're kind of gasping for breath, bobbing under, coming up, coughing and spluttering. You get on the first boat that turns up. It doesn't have to be a yacht. It could be driftwood. It could be it could be a 20 quid blow up from Decathlon. Yeah, you don't care. Life is more important than your suffering. So you willingly climb on that, and you'll spend thousands, and you'll be missold, and you'll believe in empty promises. My advice is realize that it's time and the willingness to go through the early phases of adaptation. Now, I can tell you from raw experience what actually happens at a foundation level. The nervous system adapts. You won't see any significant changes for probably 8, 6, 10, 12 weeks. You'll get a little bit stronger. You'll be able to push a few more reps. You'll be incredibly knackered. That's that alarm phase of Selye's 1936 gas principle. It's all in here somewhere, Greg.
It's right. I know.
So you've got the general adaptation system syndrome, which I'm actually doing an article on at the moment, more related to the physiological response to kind of acute and chronic stress in a real life, fear-based situation. But you can use it with exercise. You start off on the treadmill, and let's say you're going a little bit too quick. For that first 10, 20, 30 seconds, your nervous system screams, what the hell are you doing? What's wrong with a nice comfy sofa and a blanket and Netflix? All of a sudden, boom, you're in it. You are literally frontline war.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your body's going, help, panic, chaos. You shift into that state, fight, flight. So we dip a bit, but then you gain strength over time. You adapt. And here's the thing: when you understand the nature of stress and adaptation, look at where you can replicate that. The gym's a great example. You
Hmm.
start off as a beginner, you've never seen a gym for years. You wander in, your first workout, unless you literally do base one or next to nothing, you pick up some weights and do multiple sets of 10, you're going to ache. You're going to ache mass. I've been there. I've done a few press ups and not, I had eye surgery and I had 2 months out, and I done probably 20 press ups the other day, and my chest hurts to touch, and I used to do thousands of the buggers. I'm back at the beginner stage. I'm not the athlete anymore. And my message, and I hope it comes across clear, is there will be a phase you go through where there's all manner of doubt because you can't see the results, you can't feel the results, but understand that stuff is happening, stuff is working. It's just behind the scenes. And it's not the 1 or 2 sessions, it's the 2 months of showing up 70% of the time and sticking with it that will eventually make you go, wow, look back, what can I now do that I couldn't when I started? And that for me is when the penny drops. The weight's gone up 10 or 20%. What exhausted you in 20 minutes, you can now effortlessly do for 30 or 40. That's the feedback. Your park run that didn't exist, you can now do. You've taken 5 minutes off of it. You can run 2 to 3 times a week, whereas you ran once and your calves were on fire for 8 days.
Yeah. And here's the interesting thing. So we've all worked in the corporate world, and many of my listeners will all have worked in the corporate world, and they would have risen through the ranks or started a business. Probably starting a business is probably one of the most scary things you can ever do.
A very lonely place. Yeah.
Yeah, but when it comes to your body, all of a sudden it's like I need it quickly. I need to get this done really quickly. Whereas
Mm.
for your career or your work, you're willing to do all of the repetitive stuff. What is that?
That is easily explained. How valuable is your health? Think of a monetary term. And then here's a great example. What body part would you sell for a few million? People might get rid of the top of their finger or a toe or a bit of elbow skin. Let's start talking eyeballs, hands, a leg. Yeah. You're not going to go there, are you? It shows you the worth of this system. And here's the thing: we will willingly go and spend 3 to 4 years to achieve a degree. You've got 4 years for an apprenticeship to, gas fitter, electrician, plumber, carpenter. You're looking at many years to become a good level of a secondary language or an instrument. So why do we think something as valuable as health is going to happen in 6-second abs or 2 weeks to fitness? All of this missold nonsense. But I do understand it because we've got this broadband microwave generation where you can order off Amazon, delivered next day. You've got Chat GPT now. You can find out anything about the universe. Bing, done and dusted. And yet look at the things I mentioned previously. Relationships, they take time and effort to build, with communication, with empathy, with understanding. Anything you have in your life that you hold a value, I guarantee has taken time and effort, and the physical health is no different. When you get missold on, I can have this in days or weeks, not realizing that, excuse me, it's more months to maybe years. Now, here's the thing, we used to believe it was 21 days for a habit, and research has shown that that's closer to 2 months. I would actually say that 2 months is literally the toe in the door, where the monk that won't let you in now starts to listen because you haven't run off, and they might even open the door and let you in. So you've done your 2 months. Now, you may not feel any different after that 2 months, But neurologically and mentally, in terms of discipline, you've laid the foundations to show that you're potentially a worthy student. So we're coming from a martial arts perspective. That 2 months, for another 2 months, and you start to see results. Unless you are willing to go through that primary foundation phase of doing the work
Mhm.
and not seeing the reward, which we have a huge problem with as adults, as humans. And that's why meditation, that's why so many people struggle with meditation, not during it, but even to approach it and actively participate, because they're not sure what they get from it. And the answer is nothing. The answer could be everything, but it's a goalless path. It's not as though you sit there and at some point in the future enlightenment appears and you understand the deep meaning of life, the universe. You can talk to animals, and it doesn't work like that.
I
I
want to
mean,
talk to
the
animals.
Buddha said what usually happens is, instead of adding, you remove. Stuff like doubt disappears. Stuff like um, struggling with connection and connectedness with people on the social side of things. All of that removes over time. And where we have a huge problem doing a thing and not seeing instant results, that instant gratification, the marshmallow test, if you want to look up psychology,
Yep.
I think it's important to be able to zoom out and see the bigger picture, that 2 lectures don't equal a degree. 2 lessons won't give you a black belt. So why do you think that after 3 weeks of gym or 2 weeks of a diet, or whatever it is that you're currently doing in terms of maybe a resolution, that you think that's going to appear kind of overnight? It's not. And as soon as you zoom out and say, well, you know what, this is big, this is important, it's going to take work, instead of checking the scales daily, instead of looking in the mirror and thinking nothing's changed, realize that give yourself permission to step back and allow the process to unfold, and maybe check in once a week. Not that you'd even see much difference then, based on water retention and muscle growth and what have you. Give yourself permission to step back and let the process unfold, more as observer than active participant. Yes, you are active in it as the architect of it unfolding, but step back a bit as the kind of parental nanny babysitter that's constantly observing, saying, where's my food? Where's my food? Where, I need results. I gotta show something for this. Step back from wanting anything immediately. And I think that will allow you to continue it without the pressure that causes so many people to fall over. I mean, literally, we're in week 1 of the resolutions. Hopefully people stick with it. But any questions, fire away, because I think now's a perfect time to jump into SMART goals. And hopefully for those that are still in with the resolutions for 2023 and haven't fallen over, because I think it's about 2 to 3 weeks, isn't it, where they nosedive and
Yeah,
tank and
about two
yeah.
and a half weeks.
So if we look at SMART goals, for those of you still in the race, I guarantee you, or for those of you that have actually kind of taken a tumble and stepped back, this is your way back in, because the SMART goal system takes the general, which is largely meaningless, to very specific, which is the only way you actually create a route between A and B. And we'll use the sat nav analogy to really kind of bring this home into the modern world.
I love this. I love this analogy. I use it every day with people.
Put it this way: I mean, if I'm coming to visit you, yeah, you're in London.
Yep.
I say, kind of, Greg, where do you live? London. Yeah, it's a big place, mate. Okay, let's be realistic here. You don't tell me where you live. How long will it take me to find it? I mean, without doing kind of, Sherlock Holmes.
It's going to take you a long time.
It's going to take me years. How many streets, how many addresses, how many people, places, the size of it? You could probably walk London, never seeing the same part of it, and in 4 to 5 years' time and multiple pairs of shoes, never have gone to the same place twice. So it's impossible, particularly if you scope me and you keep moving when I get close.
I can see him. It is that bloke with the kettlebells and the broadsword. Okay, cool. I know it's him.
But yeah, It's impossible. So here's the thing: if I'm going to see a friend in Manchester, what's the one thing I need? The postcode. It zones me in from Manchester, which is a bloody big place, to area, to road, to house. I need to know your house. And here's the thing: when your goal is, and guys, listen to this and write it down and take it on board. When your goals are general, I want to get fit, I want to lose weight, or actually the negative, I hate being fat, I got to go to the gym. It has nothing to work with. I'll give you 10 pence out of the pound, feeling generous today. I'll give you 10 pence because you've at least landed in the country. Let me be specific here. You don't need a dentist. You don't need a new car. Yeah? You're not shopping for detergent. You know that it's health. So you've landed in the country. You don't want all of these. You want this. But you're trying to find a house that doesn't exist. You've got a rough idea. There's discomfort. I need to sort my health out. I'm going to join the gym. I want to get fit. What does that mean? How is that
Yeah.
tangible? And with the SMART goal system, when you change, I want to get fit to, I want to lose 10 kilograms in 3 months, or I want to get fit, I'm going to start running. Okay. I want to take 3 minutes off my park run time in 12 weeks. I currently struggle to do 10 laps of the field. By summer, let's extend it. I want to do a park run in 25 minutes. And what that's done is that's taken this kind of country down to a postcode, a house. And with the specifics, SMART, SMART, big capitals, SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable or attainable, relevant or relative. So you see different acronyms, and time-based, time-bound, or timely. So let's go through that. Specific, I want to get fit. For what? I mean, the bigger one is for who? That could really mess things up. So we'll
Yes.
probably leave that. That's the whole
That's
podcast
another,
in
that's another
itself.
episode in itself. That's a yeah.
That's a podcast in itself, right
Let's
there.
start that one for now. But you're right. Like I would be rich if I just put a pound down for every time someone came to me and said, "Greg, I want to lose weight. Greg, I want to get fit," and I just go, "Lose what weight? Get into shape for what? Fit to
And
be
when,
you,
yeah.
or I don't know what we're working with here."
Yeah, completely. And this is a game changer because the thing, just keep in your head sat nav. So how does a sat nav work? So I mean, I'm what, 2 hours from you, give or take, yeah, North Cambridgeshire. So you've got 85 miles odd between us. So I'll do a visual. I'll actually use this. So there's me up here, and here's Greg down here, 85 miles apart. There's 3 things that are required for me to reach you. I need to know your destination.
Hmm.
And once I've got my start position, a route is calculated. And I want to just put in a second part here, what really help people with what I mentioned about that bell curve and foundations. I'm traveling across to London, obviously managing the speed limit appropriately. And there's a road closed, never happens, does it? There's a road closed. Do I go home and quit? No, the car detours, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with your goals. The buffet with family, the pizza blowout, the fact that you missed the gym doesn't mean road closed, go home. It means detour. You're still in it unless you quit. Hopefully that lands, because as soon as you say I missed a session, it's over. My weekend diet went to shit. It's over. I don't feel like it. Oh, that's terrible because I'm supposed to feel like it and I'm a bad person and I'm letting my coach down. I'm going to quit. As soon as you get in that mess of the one thing, the 2,000 steps that outweighed the 2,000 steps you didn't do, becoming 10 times more important than the 5,000 steps you did do, and that being your focus. As soon as you can shift that balance in the scales and realize, what would the sat nav do right now? Road closed, dead end, no entry, gym shut, you've sprained your ankle, you don't feel like it for whatever reason. You wouldn't go home, would you?
No.
You'd detour. Now that detour is quite powerful because it might take a bit longer, i.e. you have a couple of days off, but you're back in it because you've still got that destination, that goal. Now, when your destination, i.e., arriving at someone's house, is very specific, what do you think your chances are of actually finding that house when you've got a postcode instead of a city?
Very, 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 very much.
A million times. As I said, you will wander the streets for a lifetime and potentially never find this person. So when your goals are specific, i.e., and I just use a random one. And most people join the gym to lose weight. So let's move from I want to get fit, which, as I said, there's not much wrong with that. It's specific to the extent that you're not shopping for a new dog. Yeah.
Hmm.
But it still lacks anything that would give you the ability to draw a line between A and B. A, I start here and I'm in pain and I want to change and improve in some way. B, I want to get fit. B is a cloud in the sky. It's almost non-existent to the extent that there's no way of drawing a line between A and B because B largely doesn't exist. It's intangible. There's no specifics. How do you measure it? How would you even know if you've achieved it? You wouldn't. Now B becomes, I want to lose 10 kilograms in 3 weeks. Sorry, 3 months. I caught myself out there. For Greg's going,
I didn't even
what?
know. I was like, did
What?
he glitch?
Glitch in the matrix. So 10 kilos in 3 months. Very doable. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a huge fan of the slow and steady and the manageable. You can lose it a lot quicker, but you'll also lose your soul and your life while you're doing it. And that isn't what we want, because someone that turns up is in a bad enough place already. We don't want to add to their suffering. We want to paint a happy picture of, here's the thing: instead of focusing on the gym hurts and I'm crap and I can't run and I'm overweight and I don't, who am I becoming from doing this? Bang! Whoa! Look at that. Hey, how's that for turning the matrix upside down? See, when you focus on the problem that you want to get rid of, all of your time, effort, and attention is going into that which you do not want.
Amen.
And you're magnifying it. And the actors and actresses are on the stage giving this tragic play, and you're there clapping, saying, please go away. Encore. That's a new one. You can nick that.
I'm using that one.
When all of your attention should be focusing on the thing that you want, because here's the thing: where the attention goes, the effort goes, and that little spin cycle in your head that's rolling around and stop focusing on thing and language and attention and doing and behavior and consequences and feelings and outcomes and a timeline of habits and everything in that stir fry. If you focus on watering the weeds more than you focus on growing the flowers, you will have an abundance of weeds and you won't be able to leave your house. And when you focus on what am I going, and that's the thing, here's the importance with goals. If they're not specific, you're left with weeds. You don't know what this looks like. It's intangible. It means I want to get fit. How open, general, and non-specific is that? It means nothing. We can't. A trainer will say, right, okay, I can start you with X, Y, and Z. But you as an individual, you won't have the capacity to give that legs and make it something that happens. You've got no way of measuring it. You wouldn't know where to start. You wouldn't know what success looks like. So when you say, right, 3 months for 10 kilos. Now, if it took you 4 months, or if at the end of 3 months you've lost 7, focus on how much you've achieved and won rather than the bit you didn't. And that's an important thing with reframing the goals. So now I've got a postcode. A can be linked to B. Now, that path is where your car goes. What do you think that path is when you have a person that has a specific goal? You backtrack from the goal the same as the sat-nav does to calculate the route, and that's how you produce a training program. Because now I know what you want, I can build a bridge between where you are and where you'd like to go. And if where you'd like to go is just an idea or a dream or a hope, there's no bridge going to appear. You could wing it and say, just go in the gym and thrash yourself and eat healthy. And after 2 sessions, you'll hate life more than you already do. That's a great recipe for success. And here's the thing: someone that turns up in our world, the lost at sea, they've got enough going on. They don't want to be adding compound stress to a painful existence with umpteen hit circuits and ridiculous restrictive half of your recommended calorie diet, where you're collapsing in your food and hating life and literally twitching at 12 o'clock and seeking caffeine and sugar to prop you up, that crutch. They don't want that. And here's the thing for me, there's three areas. You've got the mindfulness, you've got the nutrition, you've got the gym. In the nicest way, and it's changed incredibly over the last several years. You know, you wind back 10, 15 years, PTs had gym and nutrition. That was it. The mindful aspect is basically when a person knocks on my door, what have they experienced that created who they are? What learnings in a dialogue, stories, experiences, interactions, beliefs maintain who they are and resist change, and to what extent across time? And let's get several examples from previous failed attempts. Because when I've got you in a place of trust, dare I say vulnerability, the willingness to open up and be seen and heard, then understanding that together we can do this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's three ways. I'm by your side, telling you it's all good. I'm ahead of you, leading you, showing you what's possible. Or I'm kicking your ass into touch because I know what's possible from you, because you've switched off, realizing your greatness and potential. And there's a lot of people in that place, up to their neck in mud, not realizing that they got there in the first place and they still refuse to get out.
Well, it's that thing of if you walk far enough into the woods, you got to walk. You got to be able to walk out. And I think where people are missold is that I think they think they're going to be airlifted out of the forest by
Yes.
a I don't know, a Star Trek
Yeah,
beam
yeah,
up
yeah,
spot, and
yeah,
they're going
yeah.
to be transported to the happy land where they're lean, strong, fit, and they're living the life that they want to live.
Yeah, and you know what? I think a powerful thing there is to look at locus of control. When someone bangs on your door, and this is a great one for any coaches that tune into this, when someone knocks on your door, the hierarchy of that relationship is instantly defined. They are a potential client and you are the expert. So chuck that imposter syndrome and doubt and everything else in the bin. Unless you're blagging it and have no qualifications, then we need to have a word. But what I would say there is the locus of control. Now, this is to empower the individual that wants to go on a journey. Yes, you will potentially need expert help, but don't put it 100% on them, for goodness sake. You got to show up. You got to own it. You got to do the work. You got to accept responsibility that you are literally the architect of how you show up through whatever reasons and habits. And you might hate hearing that, but no one force fed you. That's the thing. No one can go to the gym but you. No one can eat healthy but you. No one can find the time for mindfulness or meditation or journaling. We can give you a map. We can bridge A to B. We can help you assess your goals, but we can't do it for you. We can't do it and give you the results. We'd love to. It's just not going to happen. So understand that taking back a degree of that responsibility in terms of an inner locus of control, rather than, oh, Greg, yeah, I've seen your testimonials. I know you can do it for me. No, you do it for you. I simply guide, provide feedback, expand your awareness, give you a few little pointers, and allow you the freedom to wander around the parts of you that you either have yet to explore because you don't know they exist, or you're scared to go there through helplessness, through failure, through repeated beliefs that you can't do it on your own. So does that sound good?
Sounds perfect. All I can see right now, and I'm sorry, I know there's lots of ladies who will be listening to this, but Star Wars, Yoda, he doesn't do the training for Luke Skywalker. Mr. Miyagi does not do the
Exactly.
training for Daniel-san.
Perfect. Perfect. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? So to move from a level of competency where you are at least informed to some degree, go back to car driving. You learn from an instructor, not from a book. You don't just get in it and wing it. You seek expert advice that can literally take a mess that would take you a very long time and be dangerous. Boom, 20 lessons done. Martial arts basics in 3 to 6 months. How to stand, block, turn, punch, basic kick, stance width, depth, breathing, the whole shebang. You know the score. With the training, anyone that you involve or invite in, be very reluctant to put it all on them, hoping that they can fix and change your life, because it's not going to happen. It will never happen. Once you take a degree of ownership, and here's the thing, it's ownership, it's the two things that give you the third thing. So that's the visual kinesthetic here, because you could probably see me thinking that out as it happened. The two things that give you the third thing are, the first one is an acceptance of responsibility of the being, the vessel, the vehicle that you bring to this moment. No fingers waving, no blaming, no shaming, no judgment. You are who you are and where you are, and that's it. Get rid of all of the doubt and the worry and the shame and the guilt, and say, right, this is me. I'm overweight. I struggle breathing, going up the stairs. I'm going to deal with this. Bang. It's on me. It's my vehicle. I'm leasing it, but it's my responsibility. Yeah, my earth suit. I'm going to take care of this. That then gives you permission to start that journey with a sense of pride, sense of belief, sense of empowerment, because you know that the investments and actions that you put in will pay off, i.e., leading to number 3. Your goal gets clearer. Your chances of success improve. The distance between current self and goal self reduce over time based on action. You know, if there's a brick wall here and I'm taking 10 steps a day, in 9 months' time, I'm going to hit that wall unless I never show up and take a step. And hopefully, as simple as that analogy is, that literally explains how you achieve anything in life: showing up and doing it. And what I wanted to finish off with the SMART goals was really bringing home the importance of moving from the general to the detailed specific. And the more you can level down, you know, if I've got your area, I still might not find your house. Now, if your road's half a mile long and I've got your road, I still may not find your house. So a postcode is great, but what I really need is a door number. That is how specific you can get with goals. So that you literally, like that kind of satellite, Google, zoom, 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 solar panels on the roof. Yeah. That is how specific you can get, so that you see the roof of the house rather than this 10-mile radius, hoping, well, you know, yeah, wanting to lose weight, not good. I want to lose 10 kilos, better. I'm going to lose 10 kilos in 3 months. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to lose 10 kilos in 3 months. I can train 3 times a week. I can put in 30 to 45-minute sessions. I'm also going to look at my recovery, my hydration, my sleep. I'm going to go to bed earlier because my health goals are more important than Netflix. I will wake up a little bit earlier because I've gone to bed earlier, and I will set aside 30 minutes in the morning, and there's 3 things, 10 minutes each. I will stretch and mobilize. I will meditate, and then I'm going to do a bit of journaling or read something, or maybe watch something that's funny. Because here's the thing: how you start the day largely dictates how the day unfolds. And if you leave the house with the anger of yesterday, you're going to take that and play that movie again on Groundhog Day loop. Set yourself up for success. It isn't difficult. It does take time and effort. But as you know from my work, I am a huge fan of awareness and zooming people out of being in it and reacting to it and feeling uncomfortable and wanting to run away because they don't understand it, to being the observer that can now see the cause and effect of suffering, seeing what produced you over the last few decades of habits and choices, and an inner critic that isn't your best friend, and this default mode of being angry that you're fat. Being angry that you're fat doesn't focus on health. Being desperate to change and must join the gym because you hate how you look never focused on health. And once we can shift that perspective from what I hate, what I don't want, what I'm embarrassed about or need to get rid of or fixed, to this is who I can become. This is my why. Bring into this moment what that success would feel like, what it would do to you, what it would mean to your family. And visualization is a powerful technique because the brain treats anything as real. When you sit with the despair and the discomfort of where you currently are, and with every cell of your body
Mm.
regret and deny and want to change. I mean, there's a deeper, obviously, there's layers. The deeper lesson here is if you hate who you are and want to change, that is a recipe for disaster because you're coming from a place of non-acceptance and incredible judgment. Now, I know it takes time to heal that relationship with self, but when you can move from hate to emptiness, you look in the mirror for a couple of minutes and be honest with what is there in, I call it the void. What sits between you and reflection? And for a lot of people, there's the judgment, there's the hate, there's the spend long enough until the noise disappears and there's space. Because trust me, it takes a bloody long time to move from hate to love. But from hate to I can do this, from hate to emptiness, from hate to I can learn to like you, from hate to I appreciate you, I'm going to look after you, from hate to I promise to meet your needs, from hate to I'm going to do the work, watch me, and from hate to with knobbly knees and a trembling lip, I'm sorry and I love you. Then we're talking. What's happened here?
And as soon as you do that, your
Go.
technology goes. But I think,
No way was that on for 3 hours. Here it
yeah,
is.
it
Ready?
did pretty well.
Boom.
Yeah, time
It
flies when
can't
you're
have been.
having fun.
It can't have been. Oh, unless it started in the middle.
But
Yeah, I mean,
I think if
it takes a hell of a long time. And here's the thing, the biggest part of your health journey is learning to trust yourself to do the work, whatever you face. And I know we've all faced stuff, and for some people, they've had bumps in the road, or for some people, they've had perpetual avalanches and been buried alive. You know, they've faced stuff that they have hidden and buried so deep because of the scar, the embarrassment, and the shame that they don't want that to ever surface, but it exists. And here's my advice, you know, if you need to speak to a professional to deal with this, do so, because it will be the will clamp that sabotages any progress because you have yet to forgive, you have yet to accept self unconditionally, and you have yet to trust yourself to meet your needs fully. And as soon as you can make progress in those areas, you'll find that this, and in the nicest way, you won't even need us. Why does a full ass grown adult need someone to tell them to go to the gym and eat properly? I mean, sorry for shitting on our industry from a height, but I mean, it baffles me that a grown adult that can vote and reproduce and travel the world and open a business and teach others has to be told to look after your body, eat a little bit better, and hydrate yourself. You know, we're not talking build a hadron collider or come up with renewable energy, basic stuff. But the fact that so many people are a million miles away from this shows you that it's an epidemic of incredible proportions. And that's why, you know, we get people rocking up to us for advice and support. But, you know, just to close that, the most important part of your health journey is your relationship to yourself. And when that is at least improved, it doesn't have to go from a mess to perfect. When it goes from a mess to I understand this now and accept it and I'm able to forgive and do, you know, let's say you go from 1 to 4. That 4 is enough to get your health journey rolling with minimal collateral damage because you're not doing it through spite, vengeance, hate, lack of forgiveness, the fact that you despise who you are. When you walk a journey of health to fix hate, never going to happen. You will not hate yourself healthy and you will never hate yourself happy. Come from a place of compassion and acceptance. More importantly, come from a place where you can trust yourself across time to meet your needs. And what that does is that changes everything. You know, at some point in our life, we weren't handed that torch of you're independent, it's all on you. People can still help you and look after you and whatnot, but it's all on you, the whole shebang, because we are born completely dependent, more so than any other animal. Yeah. And what age? 18, 21, 25, they're leaving home, getting married, traveling, going to a different continent. We don't know. There's levels of independence. But here's the thing: outside of tribes, where there's an initiation ceremony, we're never really aware of crossing that path or line of, boom, I'm now independent. It's all on me. If I speed, I get a ticket. If I hurt someone, I go to court. If I miss this, there's consequence. The whole thing's on you. Now that can terrify people. But understanding that is the way that you take responsibility for it as a sentient being, and realize that within that little package is also this vehicle, which is your gift to navigate and enjoy this experience to the best of your abilities. I mean, let's zoom right out now. You are the universe having a brief human experience. This is the vehicle you have on leasehold that actually comes from stardust. If you look at the higher elements from, supernova, stuff like that. I may have been here 1,000 times. I have no idea. I may go on another 1,000. I have no idea what's next, but I can tell you something. Outside of rational and realist philosophy, I'm here now. I know that. I'm here as a sentient being having a human experience. Make that something worthwhile. Make that a gift that you give to your children. Because when you're in a great place, when you heal the despair, when you remove the hate, when you can at least show up and take care of yourself at a respectable and responsible level, what are you teaching your kids? This is your chance to be the barrier that stops the generational trauma that all of us experience from being handed down, so that you then carry more guilt because you've buzzed up your kids as well. As I said, it always comes from the heart, and sometimes it freaking hurts because it's on the chin. But by you showing up and walking this path and getting your house in order, the people watching you as a being that they are sponges towards, with mirror neurons, learning how to be, what to say, what's important, how to operate, the power of language, because they pick up stuff that isn't said. And when you realize that you are literally the avatar that they learn from, they absorb from, they become almost a reflection of you. When you're in a good place, you'll probably produce people that will walk this earth doing minimal damage. And for me, that's the goal of life.
You just, that last bit especially, you just summed up a conversation I'm having with lots of people where there's this visceral reaction to words like the word diet or the word
Oh,
calories,
yes.
whatever it is, this visceral reaction. And then there's this big trend about anti-diet culture. And I'm like, okay, this is a word, it's a four-letter word.
Diet's a very interesting word as well.
In what way?
If you think of it, diet for me, there's two versions of diet that are so polar opposite. They are literally the front and back of the same coin. Diet in the modern Western world is I've fucked up. It's a jail sentence for bad behavior. It's
Hmm.
I need to own this mess. I'm going to go on a diet. It's like everything's got to be reined in and managed because I've been bad. It's the naughty step, isn't it?
Yep.
And yet, from the original Greek, diet means way of life.
That's why I
So
could
here's
do
the
that bit.
thing. You've got the Western hold your breath, you've been naughty, go to jail, you're a bad person. And then the original full exhalation, where food is life, food is fuel, food is recovery, food is enjoyment, food is existence, you know? And so don't go on a diet. Don't go on a diet. I realize the power of that because the brain doesn't process as negative. you can't catch yourself out. Remove the word diet from your vocabulary and say to yourself, I am going to eat better. Because diet literally feels like, handcuffs and 6 months of service.
But I guess that's the thing, isn't it? It's that thing where diet is just a word.
Yeah,
We've attached so many thoughts, feelings, past failures to that one word.
yeah.
And I think even when people say we try to disguise it. We say, "Oh, I don't diet. I just eat well."
Mm.
That's us trying to remove ourselves from what we did wrong
Yes, yes,
in the
yes.
past, and that's where these feelings around certain words come up.
Completely. Yeah. I mean, for me, let's say imagine you're on a small boat. Diet can be the anchor that sinks you or the wave that gives you some acceleration. It's really down to, as you mentioned, words have, I think that the best way to explain this is words have consequences. And when you understand linguistically the impacts that words can have and how they can motivate and what they can lead to, those behavioral loops. You say a thing, I hear it, I internalize it, there may be a reaction. My brain then relates in some way and reacts to that discomfort. I have to act to get away from perceived whatever. And we go around, you zoom out and see this. It's literally like a machine doing, car work in a conveyor belt system, like this kind of it's it's one of the biggest reasons that we suffer. We spend too much time in the thing, considering options, outcomes, best. I mean, a great example is martial arts. People always looking for the best martial art. It's never the martial art, it's the practitioner that brings it to life.
Amen.
Meditation, at my last count, there's 27 different versions, probably more now. What's the best one? The one that you start and the one that you stick with for 2 months. Because, to go back and probably correct myself and saying it's a goalless pursuit, it is to the extent that there's largely nothing to, there's no flag saying I've arrived, I'm done. But if you wanted any feedback on what you could expect, it's the ability to sit with this moment without your head running off like Tom and Jerry. It's the ability to, I call it the internal weather. The mind has thoughts and the body has emotions. For you to be able to sit with those in real time and accept whatever surfaces in non-judgment, like clouds passing and not wanting to grab that one and get rid of this one and wait for a nice one. For you to sit with whatever surfaces, you will fast track that journey of acceptance and healing, because largely we are strangers to ourselves. We know other people more than us because we haven't spent time deeply with self, becoming aware of habits, looking at the power of language, looking at our social interactions, looking at our habits and our consequences, and then looking at the bigger picture of what happened for this timeline of events to lead to me feeling terrible and sabotaging. Because there's stages in there, and at every stage you've got the option to hit the brakes, reflect, and with that incredible frontal cerebral cortex, which is why we can plan ahead and predict the future. Not predict the future sci-fi, but if
Yeah.
I start walking to the field, I know that in 2 minutes I'm going to get to the field. Animals largely don't have this; they're in the now because that's all they've got. Whereas this wonderful prefrontal cortex, I can see 3 doors. And if in my mind I open those doors and know that that one leads over a cliff, and that one I'm going to get run over by a train, and that one leads to Shangri-La, I'm going to go in the third one. We know this. You know that quitting is guaranteed failure. You know that not going to the gym for a month is guaranteed failure. You know that missing breakfast every morning or ordering the takeaway every evening or stacking up on coffee and Pringles and whatnot is the reason you're going to crumble. So who's taking or who's avoiding the accountability for your actions? Whereas a sentient being, you know the outcome before you even open the door. Not to catch anyone out, but when you shine a spotlight and lock all the doors, the only thing left is it's on me. It's on me. It's on me every damn day, all day long. And once you can accept that, you can change it. Because you stop falling off the wagon, you stop blaming other people, you stop blaming the McDonald's, you stop complaining about the 2-for-1 Pringles. And no, do you know what? It's me.
It's
It
crazy,
is
isn't it?
me all day long, every time. And here's the thing: as uncomfortable as that is initially, when that, like the magnet to the old TV, when that phase passes, you're left with something incredibly empowering, that your actions are responsible for your choices and outcomes. It empowers you. When I blame someone, I actually disempower me and empower them. So if I blame McDonald's for my health, McDonald's is stronger than my will and choices. Think
Mm.
about that. When I blame you for feeling angry, you become more powerful than me because my locus of control is external. When I'm angry at the gym for having the wrong treadmills or the workout not working, I disempower me and I empower this thing as being big and scary. And the more monsters you create, the less likely you are. It's Martin Seligman's model, 1968, I believe, learn helplessness.
Yeah.
You've gone to the gym, didn't work. Let's say you're on phase 7 of New Year's resolutions. If you've had 6 failures, not to set you up, but probably 7's going to follow the same way because you've actually learned to be helpless. You've learned to doubt. You have learned that you cannot rely on or trust yourself. And as I said, it comes back to that nucleus of boom, sit with self, understand self, accept self, take responsibility for self, not just self here, but what's happened across time in your past to create the you. And then that future can actually operate from your hand and brain rather than fate, rather than hope, rather than dream, and rather than blaming big monsters along the way that are going to knock it flat. You are the architect. And when you realize this, you start creating better movies.
Do you know what?
Done.
That line is the perfect line to mic drop this podcast.
I don't want it, I'll break it.
No, yeah, don't do that. It's expensive, this stuff. Um, Stephen, that was awesome, as usual.
My
Where
pleasure, man.
where can people find you, listen to you, hear more about you?
Well, it's going out Monday. They can go to trainandbrain.co.uk and there's a big button that says start now. And you have got what I've been told could easily sell for a few £100 for free.
I'm gonna
You
tell you now.
have
I've had a look at it.
oh yeah, you
I've
gave it a test run, didn't you? It is loaded.
Yeah,
Absolutely loaded.
it's pretty much complete, and well, and then all you need is you on top of it. So yeah, it's an amazing.
You've got workouts, meditations, journals, fat loss trackers. There's a gratitude thing. You've got videos of mindfulness, hydration, sleep. And here's the reason I've done this. I am a huge fan of building a meaningful relationship before anything else. Job done. Jump in, take it for a test run, and I wish you every success.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy. That was amazing. And if you're listening to this, share this because I think it will help anybody. Play this a few times. I think.
Take notes. Yeah.
Take notes.
You'll often find that when you review something more than once, I've seen this in movies. Great example being The Matrix, where you watch it a second time and you think, I missed that.
Yeah.
Do you know why that happens? Let's just spend 30 seconds going there. So
Got him.
your attention is on things that are known and familiar. And as soon as something happens that either shocks you or inspires you, I mean, there's some deep life philosophy in The Matrix, isn't there? In fact, a lot of people have said it's probably one of the best movies that deals with the theme of our existence and potential and growth and stuff like that.
I'd,
You
I'd,
know,
add, I'd add Kung Fu Panda to that list as well.
and Wally. Oh,
Yeah.
talk about Nostradamus in 3D. So you quote me on that. So you've got the Matrix and you're watching this thing, and all of a sudden, Morpheus gives him the pill and voila. You don't then spend time paying attention to the next 2 minutes because you're off entertaining how deep what was just said is and how meaningful that is to your existence and what you can do with it. And then you'll come back to what they're saying, maybe 10, 20, 30 seconds later. So you actually miss chunks. As soon as something appears that inspires you, it hits, it grabs your attention, you process it, you think about it, all the spider legs come off of what it means, how you can use it, and then you're back and you've missed that chunk. And you'll see that movie a few times and you'll go, I don't remember that bit. same as life, you know, if you've ever done the selective attention test, there's a lot going on that we miss.
Mm.
And I think, you know, just to finish, the biggest reason we miss stuff is because we have a hardwired system looking for problems. Now, you've got to work with that, unfortunately, and it's got 3 million years ahead of you. But start to look for opportunities as well. Start to look for solutions. Start to look for gratitude. Start to look for forgiveness, love, health, connection. Because there's a lot of dark stuff out there. We know that. But it's a fraction that gets blasted so much we think it's the whole thing. It's not. There's a huge amount of goodness, a huge amount of wonderful people, and a huge amount of connection and experiences to have. Change your radar and operating system over time to realize that that is the truth, not the noise and the nonsense and everything else that can pull you down and, you know, the rainy days. And on that note, go and enjoy the dance because the clock's ticking.
Awesome. Go dance, people. Stephen, we'll talk soon. Thank you very much.
Will indeed. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you. Bye bye.